Hi, welcome to the Military Wallet Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Guina, and I'm joined today by Chad Armstrong, founder of ACE Veteran Consulting and retired senior non-commissioned officer who served in the Georgia Army National Guard as an AGR infantryman with deployments to both Iraq and Afghanistan. After navigating his own challenging transition from military service, Chad founded ACE Veteran Consulting to help service members and veterans better understand their VA benefits, disability claims, retirement decisions, education benefits, and other resources and benefits they've earned. Through his work, he's made it his mission to simplify the often complicated VA system and help veterans make informed decisions about their future. Chad, welcome back to the show. I'm excited to have you again.
Thank you, Ryan. It's always great seeing you.
Always. So last time we had you on, we talked a little bit about getting the decision for VA claims and appeals and what documentation is needed and how you go through that process. That information is super helpful, and I hope it helped a lot of veterans. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the VA reexamination process. So once you get your approval letter or you have been granted VA service-connected disability rating, it doesn't mean that rating is permanent. So I wanted to talk about a few situations where something might come up where you may have to be reexamined and your condition could be reevaluated, or when those things do become permanent. So again, we're going to answer a few reader questions. I'm going to start off from Matthew E. Question 1. The VA just sent me a reexamination letter. Should I be worried? Will they take away my disability rating? So that's a good question. I had to go through a reexamination letter or reexamination after I received my disability rating. What should veterans do when they receive this letter, and should they be worried?
The first thing is do not panic. It's extremely common. You'll see it anything 90 and below. So 100% permanent total, and we've probably had to answer these a few questions, but you're slightly protected 100% permanent total. 90 and below, I don't want to say worry, but you do need to keep a lookout that a reexamination could be requested. It's not a big deal, but natural human instinct, we're going to go to worst case scenario. We're going to go straight to Reddit. We're going to get put in an echo chamber and everything's horrible forever. It's not. it's fine as long as you still have the disability, right? Because we don't want to commit fraud, right? That's the first no. So as long as we still have the disability, the functional loss of a limb, or the symptoms of another condition like say tinnitus or migraines, as long as you have that, you've been documenting it, you've been medicating it, and you have tangible proof the day that you go to the reexamination, you should just be fine. It's really just you're showing up. Hey, have you gotten any better? Have you gotten worse? Reexaminations have also yielded higher ratings in the past. They don't just take them away. So it's not always bad. Sometimes it's good. There are worse things to lose sleep over. So yeah, I would not panic too much. Just be prepared. Once you file your initial claim, and you should always seek medical help. I'm not a doctor. Just try to play one on the internet, apparently. So what you should do is continue to document it, and you'll be safe. Everything's fine.
Yeah. So one other thing I'd like to address is we need to take this seriously, right? What happens, for example, if I get that letter and I'm like, you know what, I'm busy, I have my rating, I'm good, and I just ignore it?
Do not avoid it. It's just like the IRS. You don't want to avoid an audit, right? So no showing an exam, they could lower it from lack of evidence to prove that you still have that condition today. It's just like your initial exam, where if you no show that one, you may get a service connection at 0 with records, or you get completely shut out because there's no clinical evidence proving that you have a current day diagnosis of this condition. So yeah, don't shy away from it. And it's like I said, don't lose sleep over it either. You just need to have all your ducks in a row, all your T's crossed, your I's dotted. And those exams usually they're quick. They're 5 or 10 minutes. Yes, no, have you improved? Have you gotten worse? And then you move on. I wouldn't get too worried about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that tip. I'm glad that we stressed, yes, take it seriously, make sure you do it. But I'm glad also that you brought up that you should continue documenting these service-connected illnesses, injuries, ratings, whatever you have, because if they do re-examine you, you want to be able to say, by the way, yes, I continue to have these issues. Here's why. And that will help you to keep your status quo or potentially get a higher rating if, in fact, you warrant that.
Yeah, if you're getting a re-examination for, say, migraines and your initial rating was 30, you go into your re-examination and you went from having 1 to 2 a month prostrating to now you're having 3 to 5 a month prostrating and causing work issues. Well, now you're talking the 50% criteria. So yeah, it's not always bad news. Just be prepared for it. Don't shy away from it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that feedback. So, on this similar note, we've had a few people ask or make comments about the 5-year rule or the 10-year rule or the 20-year rule for service connected disability ratings. Now, I don't want to play a barracks lawyer, but we've all seen those in comment threads on Facebook and Reddit and fill in the blank. Can you walk us through the 5-year, 10-year, and 20-year rule and what those mean for veterans, specifically as it protects their ratings?
I will lead off with once again, and this is just because it's a bugaboo of mine. I don't like it. The number one thing that can take away a 5, 10, 20-year rule, fraud. If they find that at any point in time that you committed fraud to get these claims, that takes away any rule that you have. So that's the first thing. So never commit fraud with your claims. But that's the biggest exception of most of these rules is if fraud is found, then the rule doesn't apply.
Yeah, 100%. That's the way it should be.
Yeah. Nobody wants liars. Nobody wants somebody abusing the system. So, all right. So with the 5-year rule and specific disability rating has been continuously in place for 5 years, and it is considered stabilized. That is the ruling on it. Generally, once it's in place for 5 years, VA's got to show a sustained improvement under an ordinary condition of life before reducing it. Okay. And that goes back to that reexamination that we talked about. If you show up to that reexamination and you're showing that it's either static, like it's staying stuck, or it has worsened, you're fine. It's not going to get reduced. There are rules for like having 2 examinations in a 5-year period. That's kind of what they're talking about. They can't just like show up and then boom, take it away. You got to like show that it's substantially gotten better. Just like you have to show that it's got substantially worse to get an increase on it. The 10-year rule, once a service-connected condition has been rated for 10 years or longer, the VA cannot completely terminate or sever the service connection. That is the other portion of it. Once again, the only thing that's going to take that one away, if they find out fraud. 10 years down the road, you've probably already been figured out, so it shouldn't run into that very often. And then you got the 20-year rule. A condition has been continuously rated at or above a specific percentage for 20 or more years. Okay. Once that happens, it becomes permanently protected. The VA cannot come back and reduce a rating below the lowest level. It's maintained over that 20-year period. And they can't eliminate the rating entirely at all. So there's all these protections. And with the permanent and total, we've already kind of talked about that. You're deemed unrecoverable. So they're generally not even going to look at those people. Your conditions are so bad at the time of those exams that they're not going to get better. That's the gist of them. So certain protections, you got the stabilized in the 5-year rule. You got the service connection being saved at the 10-year, and then the 20-year, as long as you maintain a certain percentage, you're going to keep that for a while too.
Okay, so thanks for walking us through the 5, 10, and 20-year rules, Chad. Now, there are a couple other small rules, not small rules, they're big rules, a couple other items I'd like to discuss because these are common themes that we see as well. So there is an age 55 rule for static chronic conditions. And then there are, and we could address these separately, the 100% rating versus a 100% permanent and total rating. So maybe we should look at age 55 rule first and then talk about the differences between the 100%, the 2 different 100% ratings.
Okay. So I will be honest with you on this one. When we put these questions out, this was the one I had to go research. So I have heard of it. I kind of knew it was a thing, but it's also like in the industry, some things can be urban legends. So I went and looked up the age 55 rule. And just basically the VA policy is generally limits routine future reexaminations for age 55 unless there's a specific reason. Once again, like maybe fraud got figured out or you filed the claim. So they're not going to really necessarily like ask a 55-year-old or older veteran to come back in. So the best way to not poke the bear, as a lot of Facebook people like to call it, is don't submit a claim unless you want to be called back in for that claim after 55. That's the number one way to get it done. Static conditions, usually there's no routine future exams, and that's just because they're going to be stable or worse, and they're not going to get better. And then you got 100 and 100 and permanent and total. That's probably the biggest one that I get asked a lot of is like, hey, I'm 100, but in my permanent total, or I'm at 100, what is permanent and total? In my experience, by the way, it is a lot harder to get 100 than it is to get 100 permanent total. You almost always get permanent total with 100. So 100 just means you're being paid at the 100% rate. There may be some claims in there that got you to the 100 that could possibly improve, which is what put you on that not getting the permanent total. Permanent total, your conditions are deemed unrecoverable. The VA pretty much concedes that you're not going to get better, and then none of these conditions are going to get better, to the point of they would need to do a reexamination that would be lower than 100. So that's what 100 permanent total is. Additional benefits, by the way, with permanent total. So you got like disabled veteran homestead exemption taxes, stuff like that, DEA, but you don't necessarily get just because you're at 100.
Yeah, I've seen the list of benefits at 100% permanent total, and it's actually very it's very generous, and it's a good thing that the military and the Department of Veterans Affairs are taking care of our veterans who do suffer from that 100% disability rating. Because look, if you have a 100% disability rating, you've gotten there for a reason, and it's because you have some serious conditions that do impact your life going forward. So I'm glad that they do take care of our veterans. So is there anything else you'd like to add on this topic for reexaminations, protected ratings, et cetera?
Just the documentation is extremely important. We talked about it. A lot of veterans feel that if they go to the doctor, it might ruin the claim. It won't. It'll only help either reinforce it or improve the status of the claim if it's a worse condition, whichever way you want to take that. My condition's getting worse, so my claim got better. It's it's a weird thing to be proud of, I guess. Some people probably get down that boat. The biggest thing is that just continue to document. If you are at 100, then permanent total is more than likely going to come your way. If you're at 100, what I recommend is just doing an HLR, higher level review, and talk to a senior rater to see why and what the difference was that kept you from getting 100 permanent total. It's very uncommon to see just a 100, but if that ever does happen, I would just either do an HLR or go talk to a VA representative that can pull your records and see why they rated you, because there's a lot of notes in the C files.
Awesome. Well, Chad, thanks so much. I appreciate you sharing this information with our audience. So if you are listening out there and you have a service-connected disability rating, if you get a reexamination letter, step one, don't panic. Step two, take it very seriously, because if you ignore it, the VA could use that as a reason to say, well, you must be better now because you don't need to come in for a review. And that could impact your rating. As time goes by, you might earn protected ratings based on the 5, 10, or 20-year rules. Or as Chad mentioned, if you're age 55, the VA may decide not to re-examine you going forward. So Chad, again, thanks so much for sharing your wisdom with our audience. Where can our audience learn more about you and find you out in the world?
aceveteranconsulting.com is the number one place to find me. You can reach me or my team from there. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're pretty much everywhere, the veteran community, especially Georgia. So not even since the Yellow Ribbon event.
Awesome. Thanks again, Chad. And as always, thank you for your service.
Yep. Thank you, sir.